lived in Japan for more than 5 years now. Will I ever leave? Who knows? Do I regret it? Let's talk about it. So hi guys, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Allison and I have been living in Japan for 5 years. Somehow. So I wanted to talk about the past 5 years. I wanted to reflect on it, kind of. So I'm gonna talk about how I originally came to Japan, why I wanted to come to Japan, what I've done to like improve myself, I guess, over the past 5 years here, how I've changed, and finally why I decided to stay 5 whole years. So let's just jump right in. So how I originally came to Japan, my path, my journey. So originally, let's go back over 10 years ago. Oh my God. When I was 16, I studied abroad in Japan, down in Kyushu for 2 months at a rural high school in the summer. That was my first like exposure to Japan physically. And then I went back to America, studied abroad again in college for 4 months this time at a Japanese language school. So then I went back to the US, graduated, and I came back to Japan in August of 2018 on the JET program. Yes, I did the JET program like everyone. What can I say? And I was placed in Gifu Prefecture, rural, mountain, rural. And I taught there for 2 years, up until the summer of 2020. So I gave myself a year, basically, of teaching there to decide if I really wanted to stay in Japan for the long term. I decided yes. And then I applied to grad school here in Tokyo, and then I did that for 2 years at the University of Tokyo. I graduated with my master's degree this past spring, and now I'm here working full-time at a Japanese office here in central Tokyo. So why did I want to come to Japan in the first place? Anime. I'm not ashamed of it. Why should I be? Anime is honestly why most people have such a strong interest in Japan, so I think there's no point in hiding it or being embarrassed by it at this point. Like, come on, get over it. I like Naruto. What can I say? I'm a woman of culture. Anyways, that's where it started though, of course. If you come to Japan and the only interest you have in Japan is anime, it's not gonna work out, probably. It grew from there. So this is kind of random, but really what got me interested in like Japan as a place more is I started following people on Flickr. Yes, Flickr. And I would obsessively look at their photos of like, it was just like daily life in Japan, like a street, boring stuff, but it was more like the real Japan. And I really liked that. And by the way, this was in 2012. For reference, this was a different time. So that got me interested. And then I studied abroad in high school. And then after that, I realized how, even though it was a really difficult experience, I enjoyed it. And clearly I was fascinated enough by it to have a lifelong interest. It was just so different to the suburban Florida that I had known up to that point. Like that's all I knew. And then when I got back, 2013, 2014, I was watching J-vlogs, like the original ones, like Charla, Michaela, back in the day. It was a different time, you guys. It was a totally different time for content. Like you would not recognize these videos. But these vlogs kept my interest in Japan very present. It just made me want to go back even more. So yeah, then I, studied abroad in college, JET program, blah, blah, blah. Here we are. So what have I done to improve myself? It's like a reflection, guys. It's a story, it's a journey. Yeah, so improvement. So now I have been involved with Japan for over 10 years. Oh my God. I'm turning 27 in like a week. But since I moved here in August of 2018, I'm counting this as like my 5-year anniversary because that's when I really permanently moved here. So that's the Japaniversary date. We're keeping it, okay? And when I first came here, I was 21, fresh out of college. No idea what I wanted to do in life beyond just go to Japan. So what? You go to Japan and then what? I mean, sometimes I think about my life now and I think, oh wow, I'm very directionless. What am I doing? I think that's gonna be forever and that's okay. But also if I compare myself now to 21-year-old Allison, totally different. I have a lot more figured out now than I did then. So what have I done in these 5 years? Let's discuss. Also, I have some advice. So number one, big one, don't get complacent in your skill set or your goals. Don't become comfortable too quickly. So many people move here, whether it's teaching English or just because their husband is Japanese or something, and they get comfortable. They don't really study Japanese. They don't build upon their skill set, etc. And then they find themselves stuck. They find themselves unable to get a job they want, especially if you like me, came to Japan in your early 20s, you probably don't have many skills or experience. So what do? You have to keep learning and growing your skill set. So a great resource to do this is actually the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. So I want to keep improving myself, sharpening my skills, both in my professional career and YouTube, so that in the future, I will be able to design a career that better fits me. And breaking into the creative industry can be very difficult. But because Skillshare has such a wide variety of classes I can take, from photography to graphic design to even cooking, I know I will be much more prepared and capable when the time comes. So some things I want to get better at, for example, are like growing my social media outside of YouTube, like Instagram, and I want to get more organized. So I've been really enjoying the wide variety of options that Skillshare has. So for example, I really like this class by Emelina about how to grow your Instagram account. I want to work on that. And you guys know I love Notion. I'm a Notion girl, we know. But after taking this class by the master of productivity, Ali himself, I somehow learned even more ways to use it I didn't know before. And I am utilizing it now to improve my YouTube workflow, and I'm even bringing some of it into the office. So the first 1,000 people to use the link down below in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can check it out for yourself, and you can start working towards creating a you that the you in 5 years will be proud of. So yeah, I worked on my skills. I worked on my Japanese. When I first came here, when I came here 5 years ago, I was in 3 level. Now I've since passed in 1, and we're still working on it. We're still improving the Japanese. It's definitely not over. I'm working on YouTube. I want to get better at video editing. I want to get better at Instagram, photography, copywriting. There's so many things I want to keep doing and that I have been working on this whole time, and I'm very glad I did that. So how have I changed since coming to Japan? Like on a more personal level, I'm just gonna mention a few because there is a lot. 1, you're forced to accept help from others to an intense degree. So when you first move to Japan, especially on things like JET, the JET program, which if you don't know, by the way, is like an English teaching program, you will be handheld through everything, ideally. On one hand, you like lose all your independence and you're like a child. You have to rely on your supervisor to go to the doctor. You can't read packages at the supermarket now. You don't know how the mail works. You need help for everything, and it's inevitable. But it's not necessarily bad. It is important to learn how to accept help from others, and then also, it kind of frustrated me enough to the point where it compelled me to learn Japanese more seriously. However, paradoxically, on the other hand, you will also become very independent at the same time. So most people move over here like totally alone, no friends, no support structure, nothing. Some people come with a spouse, but regardless, you will learn to do things alone, whether you want to do it or not. You're gonna eat out alone, often, probably. You're gonna spend some weekends alone. You might even go to the movies alone. You get the idea. You're gonna feel lonely. Even if you're an introvert and you don't like talking to other people much, you're probably gonna feel lonely. I mean, of course you will, because you're starting over. You know, you move over here, you have no friends, and you're illiterate. Maybe, but you're still expected to pay your bills. You have to go to City Hall. You have to take your car in for repairs, whatever, all alone. You're forced to be outside of your comfort zone, and you're forced to grow comfortable with just being alone with your own presence, because a significant part of your time living here will be spent alone. I live alone. Look at this. This is my house. You think there's room for someone else here? Nope. And a lot of people struggle with this. I'd say this is probably one of the main reasons people kind of give up or whatever and go back home, because they can't adapt. They can't adapt to being lonely or doing things on their own, etc. There's nothing wrong with this necessarily. It's just everyone's different, and you should do what is good for you. Next, I've become more charismatic, I guess. So in the US, I was definitely considered a quiet child and an introvert, etc. Shy, didn't want to ask for ketchup, but I found that most Japanese people actually considered me to be outgoing and sociable. Incredible how a change of culture can do that compared to outgoing America. It's a little strange, messes with your identity a bit. But at the same time, I've also definitely grown since I came here when I was 21. I mean, I was a teacher for 2 years, and just teaching, that means you're presenting to children for 7 hours a day. Of course, you're gonna get better at speaking. And then you have to learn how to navigate intercultural relations in a new setting, maybe one without AC. So I think I am a fundamentally different person now than I was 5 years ago, for sure. Maybe I'm more socially acclimated, I hope. I've changed. All right, there's way more than that, but we need to cut it here. So, why I decided to stay in Japan. People always say to imagine where you want to be in 5 years. When I look back at what I wanted 5 years ago, I realize I've accomplished every single thing I wanted back then. Almost. Not everything, okay. But this is, for the most part, the life I've always dreamed about having from when I was 16. I'm doing it. I did what I wanted to do. And of course there was hard work to get here. It was not just like handed to me, but I still do feel really lucky and happy. And then Japan is basically natural to me now. Like when I go back to the US to visit, I feel like reverse culture shock, and I feel at ease when I get off the plane in Tokyo, not in Orlando. And many things just jump out to me now. They kind of shock and disappoint me about America. I mean, America has changed a lot in the past 5 years, don't get me wrong, but it's always basically been like this. Like how dirty it is, how I feel unsafe sometimes, how rude customer service workers can be compared to here, etc., etc. There's more. I mean, all this stuff was there 5 years ago, sure, but now because I've lived here for 5 years, it really jumps out at me so much more now. There's definitely good parts too, but not for this video. And it's not that the US is not my home. I lived there for 21 years. I was born and raised there in humble little Florida. But I feel like Japan is also my home, even if I don't have a single family member here. And then the reality is I'm kind of in a Japan box now. So I moved here right after college. So I have very little professional experience in the US, few connections. Most of my old friends have moved across the country or even outside of the country. And ultimately, most of my skills are tied to Japan somehow. So even if I did move back, I think I'd still be doing a job that's related to Japan somehow, because that's like all I'm qualified for in a way. But what I'm ultimately saying is I would be starting from scratch. Zero. I don't have a car, I don't have an apartment, I don't have a job. I'd have to move to a new city because there's no jobs in the Florida suburbs for Japan things. I'd probably have no friends. I've never even really done taxes in America. So basically, I'd have to learn how to be an adult all over again from scratch in the US. You know, I don't want to do it again. Moving back would be a much larger hurdle than I think most people realize once you have lived in Japan this long. So ultimately, if I imagine an alternative reality where I never left the US and I did the normal thing and I stayed in my hometown or the US even, I would have always regretted it. So no, I have absolutely no regrets on coming to Japan and dedicating 5 years of my life to this country. Maybe I'll dedicate another 5, another 10, another 15, who knows? Like if you told me I had to move back to the US in a month, I would be devastated. I'd be sad, I'd be angry because I don't want that right now. I have no desire. Zero. All I want is the Chipotle. So until I do feel that way, until I feel even a slightest desire to go back to all that, or if there was like some big reason I had to move back, then honestly, I'm probably just gonna stay in Japan. I like it here. I'm comfortable. I have friends. I have a job. I have an apartment, etc. I cannot imagine my life in America anymore. Also, side note, if you are a teenager or, well, anyone watching this and you're thinking about taking the leap to move to Japan or anywhere, then just ask yourself, because I know it's scary. Ask yourself, in 5 years, if you didn't move to Japan, would you regret it? Imagine yourself in 10 years working like a normal office job or something in your home country and you never moved to Japan. Would you be okay with that? If you feel like the answer is no, if you think you'd regret not even trying, just try. This is sounding very like preachy right now or whatever, but you have to follow your heart. You have to follow your dreams, especially if you're young and you don't have anything tying you down right now. Do it, because I promise you, you're not gonna regret trying. Because I get a lot of messages from people saying they're thinking about it, but they feel nervous, or it's like they feel anxious and they don't know if it'd work out. Well, just try. Even if it's not moving to Japan, even if it's moving to another city or a different job or something, if you think you're gonna regret not even trying it, that's your answer, right? You have to at least apply or try or something. Okay, so what do you think? Sorry, the end got a little bit inspirational speaker-ish, but there's a lot of things I wanted to discuss, and honestly there's more I wish I could have put into this video, but I have to leave it out for length. So do you think I'm gonna make it to 10 years in Japan? Sorry, Mom. Place your votes down below. And again, thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Please check out the link down below, where the first 1,000 people to click on the link will get a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to my channel for more content about my life here in Japan, and I'll see you guys back here again soon. Bye!